Beautiful. All right, because we're going to record this and share it with the other members that don't make it here tonight. And then we'll follow up with you guys because you might have further questions, especially after we get to negotiations on the 28th. My name is Rob Crete. I am the elected president here. I did 24 years in the classroom, 20 years in middle school, 4 years in high school before I got elected to do this and represent the employees of Hillsborough County. And I'll pass over to Britt to introduce herself.
Yeah, I'm Britt Wegman. I'm the
You're on
executive
mute,
director.
Britt. Or at least you can't. Oh, no, I
Can
got
you
you.
hear me?
You're good.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hold on.
I got you.
You got me? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm Britt Wegman. I'm the executive director. I taught elementary art over at River Hills Elementary for about 7 years in Hillsborough. Before that, I worked with the Employees Union, which is the Hillsborough School Employees Federation, which represents all the bus drivers and custodians, maintenance workers. After teaching, or actually while I was teaching, I was also an elected secretary treasurer for HCTA and a worksite rep. And then I went and worked with the state union, the Florida Education Association, for about 3.5 years. And I've been back here for about a year in this role. So excited to be here and excited to have you all on the call tonight.
Thank you, Britt. And we're looking here right at our agenda for tonight. You see on the left, we have negotiations. That is the next time that we get to the table. And we'd like to invite all of you to be here on the 28th at 10 a.m. It is the first day of summer break, really, for most. We've already made a proposal to the district, and we're going to go into that a little bit tonight and then get some feedback on how to, continue to advocate and working with all of you to kind of get what you all deserve as the hardworking nurses and meeting the needs of the kids. If you followed us in what we're doing here at school board meetings, you'd see that I've spoken a lot to school board members around the importance of making and paying and really compensating our school nurses and the job that you do in building and being part of a community at our school sites, as opposed to contracting out and bringing nurses from other agencies in that wouldn't be connected to the kids or the community or the school. So all of our elected and endorsed school board candidates, I've had individual conversations with. So that would be Jessica Vaughn, Nadia Combs, and Lynn Gray. They know how strongly we feel about making inroads into the salary structure for all of you. And we're going to dig into a little bit of that tonight. We've had a couple of false starts in getting some nurses to kind of be on the bargaining team. I spoke to Carol Butts over the past couple of days. She's going to be here on the 28th to help represent, but it doesn't only have to be Carol. This group of union nurses, we'd like to get together more often to talk about what you guys are looking for, not only in pay, but in conditions and things that we're asking for. And we're going to dig into that a little bit more once we get past the proposals. So right now I'm going to pass it over to Britt, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about what we've asked for at the table, so that way you all have the clarity of what's being asked for, and we know that there's a lot of misinformation out there. So let's dig into what it actually looks like, and then we'll take questions from there.
Yeah, so what we're looking at, and I think it's important to kind of preface this with a lot of what happened to the education support professional salary schedule over the last couple of years, with mandates from Tallahassee on raising minimum wage for school district employees to $15, which we saw those first few lowest steps on that scale increase by multiple dollars. But then there was no funding put for the rest of the schedule. The same thing happened to the instructional pay scales over the last few years. So those challenges are there, and we're very aware of it. And I think that it is indicative of what's going on with our Florida legislature when they continue to underfund public education, especially support employees. There's a lot of emphasis put on teachers, which is great, but there's a lot of other folks in our school, including you all, who do the work. So our overall proposal includes base increases to the scale. This is for all employees, nurses as well. And that's to kind of correct some of the damage that was done in the past. So we know there's issues with equalized pay and those sorts of things for employees that are under a certain threshold of pay, as well as some of the compression that happened. So we want to try to fix that, which would mean increases to the scale and also the step increase. So moving everyone their step. What we're looking at specifically to do for nurses is to negotiate an additional, in addition to the money that is already going into the scale to kind of do these things for all employees, we're looking for that $1.8 million for nurse pay for a pay grade adjustment. Now, I know we've kind of heard some feedback that like just a pay grade adjustment on the current scale would only mean like maybe a 5% increase. But what we're looking for is a minimum of 13%. So, and I'll show you what that looks like in a moment, but we have to kind of understand that we're improving the current scale with base increases to all of those hourly wages, the step increase, and then for you all actually moving an additional grade. So again, the minimum would be 13%. The pay range for the LPNs would increase from that minimum $18.28 to $27.87 up to $20.79 to $32.78. And those annual increases would range depending on where you are, more experience, the higher you are on the schedule would be a little bit of a larger bump on that annual pay, but from between a little over 5,000 to a little under 9,000. And then the same would be for our RNs who are on a little higher pay grade, increasing from the pay range of $26.07, $41.10 up to $29.52 and up to $46.55. So a few other things that we're looking for are kind of like your scrubs or garment allowance. We've seen this in other districts that these employees get a little bit of an allowance to purchase those garments. And something we found, I believe in St. Johns County, was some annual in-service reimbursement. So for taking courses and things to maintain your certifications. But let's get back to the scale. So just to kind of, I know this is kind of small, but hopefully you can see this. So the top that's in black, the top scale, you can see that current grade, LPNs are on grade 25, and that's the current pay. So with the increases that we're proposing to the salary schedule, which would increase pay grade 26, if you are on pay grade 25, step 1, under our proposal, you would move to pay grade 26, step 2. So you'd go from $18.28 to $21.21, and so on and so forth. And then the same thing for the RN pay grade below that. For our RNs are on pay grade 33. That's the current pay grade and scale there, starting at $26.07. So again, if you're on pay grade 33, step 1 at $26.07, under our proposal, you would increase to $30.11. So again, none of these raises would be less than 13%. And again, this would be an additional 1.8 million towards nurse pay. And I think I say this a lot for whether it's nurses, paraprofessionals, our aides, clerical staff, instructional. A lot of these issues stem from that lack of funding from Tallahassee. There's never enough. I mean, and we're limited on what we can kind of negotiate there, but we're trying to do something here to be specific for our nurses to make this first step. And then every year, we come back and there's more to do, and we'll kind of talk more about what that looks like. Next year is a full book again for ESPs. So that would give an opportunity to do some more things language wise. Right now we're focused on money. So that's what we really wanted to get across, that like it's not just a pay grade step. You're moving from your pay grade 25 step 1 on the current scale to pay grade 26 step 1 on the current scale. It's adjustment to the scale, step movement, and pay grade to try to get you all there. So that's kind of the synopsis of the proposal. And those are the things that we're doing specifically, because those were the things when we put the survey out: base salary, trying to, keep up with cost of living, pay for extra duties, and for professional development, which that's what we tried to encapsulate specifically for nurses. So that's kind of what I have, Rob. The next slide just had to do with, kind of the next steps, which I kind of talked about, and then Q&A. But
yeah, go back one more slide. I think this is the one that
this one?
think that, no, yeah, this one right here. Yeah, so I think this is the one that really captures what I wanted you all as members to know what we were asking for. We've been getting some emails that are asking questions like, are we really asking for enough? And I'm going to tell you, No, I mean, you guys are worth more than even this. What
Yeah.
we have to do is we have to balance that we're dealing with thousands of members and a limited budget from Tallahassee, as Britt mentioned. But you guys are overdue, and we feel like this is a doable by the district and a big step in the district saying we want to make sure that our nurses are taken care of and that we are trying to meet your needs as well. The thought is, and what Britt had on some other slides, is that we need to get you guys as our members and nurses together more often to hear what it is that you need and want from us, so that way we get some better direction. This is a de facto subcommittee now, that as of right now, I will be leading this subcommittee with you. Our next time to the table is the 28th, I said, like I mentioned, and then what we would do is after that, get this group back together again of saying, because this is exactly what we're asking for. We don't know what the district will agree to or not at the table on the 28th, but we will be probably going through several rounds of negotiations. We do want to get to it. We're getting to it earlier than ever before, but we wanted you as members to have a clear idea of what was being asked for. It isn't as simple as you guys are getting a step. It's a little bit more complicated. So getting you here to talk about it live, we thought would be the best way to go about it. So that's really it right now. I want to just take questions from you guys. And then what we would do, we would move forward after the negotiations and talk about what kind of language you would want next year. But we're not going to get into the weeds on that today. We're only really talking because this year's negotiation is about the dollars. So we do have we have a question there. It says, could we take the uniform allowance and add it to the base salary? And how often would we get the 1150? Britt?
Yeah, so I think at this point, I mean, let's see none of it is outside the realm of possibilities on what we can put on base salary. But we think that, again, when we were looking at how to address nurse pay within the realm of that current scale by adjusting for all and then doing this added adjustment for you all, by adding $250 just to that pay grade would kind of throw the rest of the scale off. But I think let's see where the district comes, what they have an appetite for. And then we can always adjust our proposal. And then when it comes to the in-service reimbursement, that would be annually. But again, that's based on those credits that work that you're doing. So you're getting paid for those professional development classes that you're taking to maintain certifications and those sorts of things. We can also, I mean, if someone wants to raise their hand and speak, we can do that. But
Yeah.
we're here to answer questions and you know, again, this is our proposal, and we'll see what comes off. So I see someone who's asking, I'm currently at 33.9. What will the pay grade and step with the new proposal? So I'll just go to the next slide here. So if you're on 33 step 9, you're making $30.53. So under our proposal, you would move to step 10, because that's a step movement, and up a grade to $35.28. And that would be the same for everyone. So in the black, the top line, kind of where it says current, that's where you would currently be. So then you got to move yourself down and over, down and to the right. And I see, is there also an increase for health aides and nurse practitioners? So our health aides, I mean, anyone, the rest of the scale, wherever our employees are also seeing improvements to the scale and step movement. What's unique about what we're doing for nurses is that pay grade movement. So there would be increases for all other employees in our unit, which we're looking at pretty aggressively across that scale, especially for those folks that are on those, you know, pay grade 15 step 1, where a lot of that compression happened. So yeah, this is our LPNs and RNs. Those are the only employees that are in these units right now. So I see
someone writes it. Yeah, I'll read it. It says, still seems to be no justice for LPNs when agency LPNs are coming in making $25 to $32 an hour with little to no experience. The level of experience is something that we can't, that they're coming in with is not something that we can work with. However, we are working to make sure that we don't want any agency LPNs or nurses or anyone in our district. This is our first first step in getting there. And, you know, the recognition is there's another 22% of your salary that goes towards your benefits or your fringe. So you know, those in the working for agencies are not allowed that under our contract. and they work under their agency contract that, again, that we don't have control over. What we do have control over is what we can negotiate with the school board. And again, we want to negotiate out any type of work that the agencies are doing in this district at all. There shouldn't be any agency nurses or employees in this district. This is our first step in making that happen. And we do feel like we are making it, we're working towards that with this proposal. We're getting closer to closing that gap with your ability to maintain your fringe benefits and your health insurance.
Yeah, and I mean, and this is also, it's not the issue of agency employees or outsourced, contracted employees is, we understand it's not just the nurses that are impacted by this. I mean, we're outsourcing paraprofessionals, we're outsourcing school psychologists, we're outsourcing like SLPs. I mean, this is a chronic issue in Hillsborough and across the state because of the lack of funding. Yeah. So we feel, yeah, we agree.
Yeah, and in the fall, we want to organize our nurses, LPNs, our health assistants. We want everybody together to talk to the school board. We want to go down to a school board meeting and let them know what your conditions are like, what your job is like, what you do every day for those kids in these communities, and why you deserve better. They need to hear from you. It's unfortunate that in this district, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but we're going to make sure that you guys are the squeaky wheel, so that way they're understanding it. Again, I've had one-on-one conversations with school board members around this, and I've made some comments directly to the school board at school board meetings. But I'm going to need some support and help from all of you, just to kind of put a face to the jobs that you're doing. You know what I mean? They see my face every 2 weeks. They need to see some of you. Emails to school board members are also helpful.
Yeah.
So now that you know what the offer is or what we're asking for at the table, it is helpful if you know a school board member, or if you've voted for a school board member, to email them and let he or she know that, hey, you need their support in making this happen. That's really we're negotiating against, to make this happen for all of you. So that's kind of how we work. We try to organize, we put pressure on them, and then we bring our people and we bring our proposals. That's what this is about for all of you, and we need a little bit of help. Where is bargaining held? We're all supposed to be at post planning, but I'd be willing to skip it to go to bargaining. So bargaining is actually being held right here at our building, which is 3102 North Havana Avenue. We do it right up on the 4th floor, but I believe it is the first day of post planning, right? It would be a post planning day, and you'd be welcome to come even when you're done. Like when you're done with your day, you get your stuff wrapped up. Come on down here. We hope to have the fourth floor full of members. They have to look directly at us and say what they can or cannot do. And that, we make it as clear and as open as possible. We even have a link, and we what do we closed circuit? What do we call that?
Yeah, so we Zoom, we Zoom broadcast. So,
Yeah.
if you're unable to attend, but you can like listen while you're, doing work or in your car, you can tune in. We send that out through our HCTA newsletter to our members for registration. So that's a benefit for our members to kind of tune in and watch when you can't be there. We also then record them. So if you're unable to actually attend that moment, you got something going on, an appointment, but you want to catch it later, we then post it on our YouTube channel, and then you're able to grab that link, and then you can do everything and rewind, skip to the end, all that good stuff. But I did answer with our address. So and just to reiterate what Rob says, I mean, that is negotiations. I mean, and those of you who have kind of watched and been a part of what's happened over the last year or so, and even with impasse, you can have the most excellent proposal and have all of the facts, all of the evidence, all of the information there, and everyone is saying the same thing. And even, the school board's team is the one sitting across, and they essentially act as the mouthpiece or the one that kind of convey that decision. If the school board doesn't hear it from, like Rob said, from you all, and understand the impact, and they don't say, go ahead, yes, agree, it really, I mean, Rob and I and our whole team sitting there can scream and yell till we're blue in the face. And that's really where you saw impasse a couple years ago, that the school board wouldn't agree, even with all of the facts and evidence and there. And then that pressure that they received to agree, whether it's through a magistrate ruling or it's really through employees organizing and putting that pressure on the school board to agree is where it's at. So yeah, I mean, what Rob is saying, we absolutely need everyone in this together. I know we hear it a lot, strength in numbers, but that's what unity and unionism is about, is that's where our power comes from. That's where our leverage comes from in bargaining, is our numbers. So I see someone late signing in. So our bargaining is May 28th. I think that's a Tuesday, May 28th, here at our HCTA building. And I did put that into one of our other answered questions at our HCTA building, 3102 North Habana Avenue. We start at 10 a.m. And if you can make it, great. Even if you can't be here right at 10 a.m., you know, the district's gonna give their counter, and this is for everything, because we put everything across the table, not just for nurses, but for all employees that we represent. So,
And again, we
yeah.
have 25 members here tonight, which is great. We
Yeah.
appreciate all of you being here. Like, let us know if you have any other questions. We are recording this. We're going to send it out to all of you, those that are not here. But we wanted you to be able to speak eloquently about what at least what we're asking for and offering at the table, and talk to your coworkers around that to know that we're advocating for you guys. We know that you deserve better, and we're going to fight for it.
Yeah, and I kind of this kind of comment from the anonymous attender that is talking about the contract that the districts approved for agency nurses. That's a good point. So you see in there these big numbers on what they're being billed for an individual employee, but that's not exactly what that agency nurse is actually earning. So you're right, it is always more expensive to outsource and contract employees. And that's kind of the issue we're in, of trying to get, it's kind of like the domino effect. Once that has started, paying the agency, we got to roll that back. So, when you look at the 1.8 million in ESSER funding that is being spent, that's in line with what we're trying to propose here, 1.8 million invested into our employees here.
Yeah, and that argument is a great one to send to the school board members, saying that it is better to spend money on the nurses that are committed to our students and our communities than it is getting billed $50 an hour when only the nurse is only reaping maybe half of that, if they're lucky often. So that's a great example of something that needs to be communicated to a
school board member.
The next question is really about clinical nurses generating income by adding medical billing codes to students in SNAP with medications. Where is that money going? Is it staying in school health? Can some of that money give us a decent raise to give us a livable wage? Let's take that question, because I don't have the answer to that, but we could ask around that as well.
Yeah, and I mean, so I'll just say, kind of generally speaking, I mean, all of the funding that is part of the district's, general fund and operating fund, I mean, we look at all of that. And so it's the same kind of thing we dealt with our speech language pathologists and a lot of our folks that are doing the medical billing. But I think it's, again, the folks to ask to really answer that publicly is the school board. Because you're looking at kind of the result of spending multi-millions into, the agency nurses. So.
We have a hand up.
Oh yeah, let's see here. Go ahead, Kiara, you should be able to unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, thanks for being here.
I just wanted clarification because I wasn't sure if I'm understanding correctly. So the $250 would be an annual thing that we automatically get, correct, if passed?
So the proposal is that it would be an annual allowance, and the way we propose it in the language is that, now I got to go back and find it. It was just very simple, that it was a professional uniform allowance for lab coats, scrubs, or other medical garments that shall be provided to nurses in the amount of $250 per school year.
Okay.
That's our proposal. So again, we'll see what the board comes back and how they handle that, and what they do. Because I know there are other employees in the district in our HSCF unit that have uniforms. So we'll see what they do. Mm-hmm.
And then the $1,150, you said that's based off what we do.
Yes.
Right? Because a lot of our certification, a lot of our certifications are not going to equal up to that. like to renew our license is not that much to, only the RN BSNs can do the like school nurse certification. So I don't think any certification that we do will equal up to that amount. So then what would you guys do with the rest of that money? Or like,
Again,
if that makes, I don't know if that makes sense to you guys.
It does. It does make sense. So the way that we proposed this was that nurses who participate in workshops or in-service training hours for maintenance of licenses, credentials, certification, or continuing education credits shall be reimbursed for the cost of such training for up to a maximum. So that could be that, okay, you're maintaining your certificate, but what if you're also taking other courses to, you're taking workshops and you're doing it on your own time? Like that's kind of how we're looking at it. And again, it's kind of the starting point, and we'll see where the district is and where the school board is on their appetite for that.
So could that be used like if we're going back to school, something like that, or just like those in-service
Yeah.
certifications?
That's how we worded it for
Okay.
maintenance. Yeah, so if you need to take workshops, in-service hours, maintenance of licenses, credentials, certifications, or continuing education credits. So, if what we were hearing loud and clear was professional development, and that can mean a lot of things other than just, oh, I'm taking my this one required workshop, but maybe it is you are trying to continue your education and go back to school. Can you use some of those funds towards, the district's not going to be able to fully supplement, right? Like a whole degree, but why can't we get a little bit of pay out there to help, as you're working through that while you're doing your work? So, but again, we'll see where it goes. It's kind of the first pitch or first proposal, and we can go from there. So thanks, Kiara. All right.
I don't see any other questions. Again, you're all welcome to join us at bargaining on the 28th,
28.
starting at 10 o'clock. Get here when you can. That would be great. We appreciate everything that you're doing. And then we got one more question. Historically, what is a reasonable
I don't know if that's maybe supposed to mean raise to
raise
expect.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Britt, you want to take a swing at that one? That's a hard one to answer.
It is hard because I think, last year, how do you look historically when some of the employees a few years ago got $3 an hour and some of the employees got none? Typically a step has always traditionally been 2%. I think I'm not speaking for HCTA historically because I was gone for a number of years. But if you're just moving a step only, that's 2%. But again, we're looking for higher than that, because a lot of what we hear is cost of living. Now, if you look up cost of living right now, cost of living is somewhere around 3.5% to 4%. And again, we're being pretty aggressive here to try to do something that's meaningful. And that has happened in Hillsborough just last year. We were able to move some of our counselors and some of our what we call health pro or student services employees and do this very kind of same thing. We move them from a one scale to another, which is what we're trying to do here for this group of employees. So it's happened, but just kind of trying to whittle it down to a kind of a historical average is very difficult when 2 years ago we were at impasse just for a step. So I see.
And I would like to add that, we recognize, and the district seems to recognize that this bargaining unit, they need to do something for.
Right.
So I believe I have some optimism around that. This is not the biggest bargaining unit that we have, with nurses. So there's a lot of things going in our favor. And they're recognizing with school board members that you guys have gone without, and these contracted nurses is something that they do want to phase out. So
Yeah.
I would, again, it is a negotiation. They have not agreed to any of this. That's what we have to be clear about. This is what we're asking for. But we are optimistic that we're going to get some good things for all of you. And you deserve even more than that. We do have a hand up. We have Yvette's hand up.
Yeah. Go ahead, Yvette. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hi.
I just to add to about the agency nurses that a lot of
Mhm.
them will jump over to district if they
Sure.
know that there's going to be a pay increase, because a lot of them have stayed and not wanted to come over because of the low pay. But they do
Yeah.
realize that the benefits, if they come over, if there is the increase that passes, that they will get the other benefits like the insurances and pension and all that. So they are
Right.
aware might go away, and they are ready to jump over to our side, to district, if those, pays do go up.
Yeah,
So
that's
something
you're
that,
you're exactly right. That's a really great point. Thanks for sharing that, because I
yeah,
think that's, but we got, and I was kind of, to piggyback off what Rob said, is also like, because there's been kind of this left behind, or not addressing nurses and the situation we're in. It may take what we can do this year to kind of make that first step. And then this is not just, oh, one and done. I mean, we've got to continue to work on this because of the damage that was done 2 years ago. Now here we are 2 years later trying to fix that. So I just,
yeah.
I just, and anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I hope that
No,
answered your.
true. And to go to answer about the races before the impasse, personally, I was seeing an increase, like at least $1 every year. It was going up. And then when the impasse happened, it just, for 2 years, we didn't get anything.
Yeah. Mhm.
So,
Yeah, and a lot of that was fear from COVID, and a
yeah.
lot that was happening. So it's yeah, and so here we are now trying to make up. It's hard to close that gap in one fell swoop. So I think there's definitely a commitment. I mean, at least a commitment for me and Rob and the team, that it's not just, oh, we're just going to do this year and then we're done. It's every year. This is the points of our union and why we come together as employees in a union to keep this up every year, because that one bad year, look what happened. So thanks, Yvette, for that sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I've talked to a bunch of you, we have another hand up about some of the agency nurses that, some of them are doing great work and they're really committed. And we would love to have them not
Right.
only as school board employees, but HCTA members. So that way we can advocate for all of you.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Dina. You should be able to unmute.
Yeah, I listened to the last school board meeting and you're saying this is 1.8 million. I thought that they spent on agency nurses like 3.5 million, and then they asked to increase it almost to 10 million. Is that wrong?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm looking at the document, and I think what they're looking at, the financial impact was an estimated increase of, I think, 3.5. But yeah, I mean, that's the issue. They're investing a lot of money, and the breakdown shows that the cost of our HCPS nurses is much less, and we can get you at least into that. It is realistic to get our employees into the same or higher hourly rate with less
Well, they need to
cost than the
understand.
agency nurses.
Yeah, they need to understand too, when you're hiring an agency nurse, some of them don't even stay but one day. So then they
Right.
don't come back. So now you got another one the next day, if you can find one. Okay.
Right.
So day a week. We're training them. If we're gone, who's going to train them? What are they going to do? They have no idea what we do. They're just taking care of put the fire out, in other words. So anyway.
No, thanks, Dina.
Yeah.
We need you to let them know that if you can, either in person or in an email. That is super important.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, they have no idea what we do and what kids are walking around schools right now. They have multiple bad health issues.
Right.
I mean, and they think that we just sit in the clinic and, I guess twiddle our thumbs or something. I don't know,
Oh my
but
goodness.
nothing
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. No,
I
that's
mean,
exactly, that's
unbelievable. I've been in the system for a long time. So
Yeah, you guys are triaging our young people at our sites all the time, more so than ever. I mean, since COVID, it's just been crazy in every capacity in schools, and you guys feel it in children every day. We know it, and we're going to try to do something about it.
my last point is,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do it now, but we have new nurses that we have gotten into the system miraculously. And something that people don't realize too with the nurses is they'll, get them enticed to come in, and they tell them, oh yeah, we'll give you so much, too, for your experience. So they get into the job and they start them at this low pay. Okay. So now they got to fill out this form. And the form is to go to employers that some of the employers are not even around anymore. So they don't complete the form. Now they've come in at this lower rate thinking that they're going to at least get, the 7-year experience pay, and they don't get it. So then you lose them because of that. And you've already trained them and everything too, some
Yeah.
of them. So that form needs to be updated too, or the process to go with hiring, nurses also that do come into the district.
Do you,
So-
this may be kind of out there, but do you have access to that form, or can you
Yes,
get us
I
a
do.
copy? Yeah, if you can
Yes, I do.
email.
One of the
yeah,
nurses gave it to me. So I
Okay.
can, I was looking for it the other day because actually she told me about this. I knew nothing about it. I'm like, well, it's a little late now because I found out at the end of the last bargaining. So I
Yeah.
said, it's too late now, but I said, yes. So with this going on and all that, I'll get the form again and I can send it to one of you.
Yeah, send
But-
it to us, because again, we'll be, again, right now it's just kind of everything's on money, although this is, it is loosely tied to it, but send that to us because it's never too late in the sense that, like, even if we close negotiations and it's all ratified, we've always got the next year, and we've always, and that's kind of how negotiations work. Sometimes we make that one big gain on one thing. Maybe we didn't quite get it this year, but we'll get it next year. So I appreciate that information if you send that.
Okay.
All right,
No problem.
thanks.
It's a good time for me to just say that we're in really good hands by having Britt Wegman as our executive director and kind of leading this work and being our chief negotiator. She's amazing at it. She's organized, and she's the best in the state. So I'm proud that I get to work with her, and I think that you guys are going to reap some of those benefits this year. Again, thank you all for spending some time with us here today at the end of the school year. I know that you're exhausted. We know what you do. We know how important you are to not only the students, but the school, the community, and we want to help and right some of these wrongs here. And it's going to take a little bit of chipping away at it, but this is our first go round here with this amount. We feel like it's a fair offer, and we're hoping to see you guys on the the 28th when we get to bargaining and get to the table.
Yeah.
None of the districts have gone to 4-day work week. Nurses should have this option. Are we talking about I got a question here about a 4-day work week, but is that for an entire school or just for the nurses? I've had some questions around that. Our school board members don't really have an appetite to turn out our school district into a 4-day-a-week school district. They have pressure from parent groups not to do that. But we are always looking, we're always open to creativity with our schedules and everything that we do. I mean, we should be more innovative than we are with our whole. Oh, well, Pasco approved a 4-day weekends, but several times during the year. They still have their number of required minutes in school as everyone else. It's not as if they're it's not quite a 4-day schedule. It's just some applied 4-day weekends is what occurs. I think 1 per 9 weeks. So that's something that we're looking to do.
Yeah.
And we're also saying, anytime you guys want to invite us to one of your in-person nurses meetings, that's what we need. We need an invite, and we need put us on the schedule. I will come out to any meeting and meet with any group of nurses at any time. So that I promise you. So thank you for that option and that offer.
Yeah. All right.
All right,
I
we're
don't
gonna
see
wrap
another-
this up. Yeah, go ahead, Brett. Sorry.
Yeah, just, I think, again, what I continue to reiterate, and, it's nice what Rob said about me and my role as a chief negotiator, but the only way that I have found success is through the employees behind me. I cannot do it alone. I'm not a nurse. I was a teacher, and I know the nurses at my school and the role they did, but having you all there, your voices, your stories is what gets it done. I mean, they can't then, there's not some argument they can make back to me. And again, it is about influencing the decision makers, because, those are the folks that are sitting across the table. They represent the school board. That is who the contract is with. The contract is with the school board. And then those folks represent them, just like kind of our bargaining team represents all of the employees, but that's who the contract is with. So you don't have to be, sometimes folks ask about how to approach it. I mean, be honest. You don't have to be have a perfect, again, math and charts and all that stuff. Just be honest about what you do, how much you care about your job, and give them those facts and the ways that they can solve it, because that's what they were elected to do. So, and we'll, again, any of that information, you know, if you find things out there, you know, one thing that helped us, I know there's some question about Maxim with nurses, but I know Maxim was an agency used for paraprofessionals and other employees. And what we were seeing was, you know, these kind of in-your-face ads to current employees, which was, you know, that kind of stuff helps us. It helps us show and kind of give that context to what employees are facing, because it's more than just the pay. It's right. It's the respect. It's the honoring of the work that you do. Because I was reading the comment about how much you love to be in the school, and that's why you're here. But we have to also honor and respect that. So when you have things, you know, send them our way, and just, we hope to see you on the 28th, 10
Yep.
a.m. If you can't be here at 10, come when you can. Tune in on Zoom through our link. We'll send that out in our newsletter. We usually send it out the week of bargaining. And again, if you can't make it, you can always rewatch it. And we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you again for being here. I hope that tonight's brief meeting gave you a little bit of clarity into what we're asking and some comfort in knowing that we have your back, and we're going to continue to advocate for you and the great job that you're doing. Until we get together again, and please be safe, and thank you again for everything that you're doing out there, and especially for being a member of your union. So thank you so much, and we'll talk to you guys real soon. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Have a great, safe ending of the school year. Talk to you soon.
Bye.